Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll review the new Shudder release, the New Zealand horror film Grafted. Directed by Sasha Rainbow, in her feature film directorial debut, the film's cast features Eden Hart, Jess Hong, Jared Turner, Seppi Toa, and Joanna Sun. The film was released in New Zealand in 2024, but was just released in the United States through Shudder on January 24th, 2025. The critical response has been positive for the film as it sits at 82% on Rotten Tomatoes and has a 62 score on Metacritic. The reviews I've read from other horror fans seems to be mixed, with many consistently connecting it to the substance either positively or negatively. I understand this because it's impossible to ignore the similarity in style and themes between these two films that were released so close to each other. These films are also part of a larger trend of a resurgence of body horror in the 2020s. This resurgence has been sparked by several exciting new filmmakers such as Coralie Fargeau, Julia Ducournau, Brandon Cronenberg, and now Sasha Rainbow, alongside the return of the King, David Cronenberg. Now, with that brief context laid out, let's discuss my thoughts on the film. Let's review Grafted. The film displays solid craftsmanship, is visually exciting, and has enough character narrative and thematic depth to serve as an impressive debut film. This is a good body horror film with a likable protagonist. Wei is a likable character, and her descent into madness is compelling. Joanna Sun gives a good performance as Wei, and so too do the other actresses, who take turns mimicking her. This shifting of appearances was a clever plot device and allowed for some interesting acting choices to be made, showcasing the talent of these young actresses. I think Wei is so likable because of the struggles that she deals with. She immigrated from China and is starting a new life. She struggles to make friends and connect with others. She's desperate for attention and popularity, to be seen as beautiful. She is an attractive woman, but has self-confidence issues due to a birthmark that she strives to make disappear through the continuation of her father's grafting experiments that resulted in his death. This is a slightly different angle on beauty standards than The Substances, opening up interesting and unique avenues for a body horror film to tackle. Some critics have said this is a shallow film in comparison with The Substance, but I disagree. My major critique of that film, which I still loved by the way, was the repetition in my perception of the film's social commentary as being poorly implemented into the narrative. It felt like repetitive, blunt force trauma to ensure we get the message. And in our age of mass media illiteracy, I understand that temptation, but it felt like Fargeau dumbed it down too much. Grafted, meanwhile, lingers on lots of similar issues related to beauty, but tackles it through a new lens that feels refreshing. Yes, it might not be the most deep film, but there's enough depth here that helps positively complement the film's narrative. The film moves through said narrative very quickly, maintaining a strong sense of momentum. With so much packed into the opening 30 or so minutes, I was shocked at how much was left in the film after Wei's first murder, not because I was bored, but because so much information had already been conveyed so effectively in such a short time. From the point of the first murder, the film doesn't slow down, but continues to accelerate Wei's descent into madness. Even in her murderous moments, I still find her sympathetic, which is a testament to the storytelling and acting. The other characters in the film were not likable, but are enjoyable characters who were portrayed well. Unfortunately, some of their deaths are less ambitious, and therefore less cathartic. The deaths aren't as visually interesting as the rest of the film. Speaking of the rest of the film's visuals, they are nice to look at. They showcase Sasha Rainbow's obvious talent and make me excited to see what she does next. The film's music, production design, and editing all create this fun and pretty vibe that melds well with the narrative's propulsive momentum. They also found some nice locations to film at. There were nice houses, which continues to mirror the vibes of the upscale locations in The Substance. But there were several green nature locations that looked nice and create a more diverse color palette. The visual effects were underwhelming, but what they accomplished was impressive on a smaller scale. The final transformation looked cool, and the opening scene was effectively done. The scene where Wei puts the grafting substance on Paul and pokes a hole where his mouth should have been with a straw was cool. These moments showcase there was a definitive desire to make some goopy, gross body horror to blend with the beautiful look of the rest of the film. There is no real comparison between the subtler body horror of Grafted and the over-the-top explosion at the end of The Substance, which is partly why I like The Substance more. Grafted is a tamer and less ambitious project thanks to its lower budget, but it still tackles a lot of similar themes as The Substance and does so in an interesting way that wasn't possible with the other film's narrative. There are some other smaller critiques that I have of the film that don't directly correlate with the budget or scope of it. The narrative has several moments that don't make much sense and they take you out of it. Questions are left unanswered that do hurt the logic of the film, such as how the grafting works exactly and how she can shift skin tones when only replacing her face. Questions like this, or questionable character choices at moments, do hurt the film a bit, but not enough to overwhelm my overall positive experience. I admire this film. It's a good horror movie. It's a well-made debut that finds clever ways to explore body horror that feel fresh and innovative. I feel for Wei and find her unraveling sad but captivating. This could have been elevated higher with a larger budget and scope, but for a feature film directorial debut, this is a small-scale triumph. As I said in my 2025 horror movie preview video, there are always films that come out of nowhere to surprise us, films that are released without the fanfare or media attention as larger budget studio sequels or remakes, but instead slowly find their audience in the new digital age of streaming. This feels like the first film of the year that fits the bill to me. I believe that this film has strong potential to continue to build momentum and grow its audience to become something of a cult classic. I also believe that Sasha Rainbow has serious talent that will hopefully be further unleashed in future films. This film also continued the trend I've noticed of foreign films released on Shudder having a much stronger track record than their American releases. This showcases how many great horror movies are being released every year with limited American commercial appeal. The fact that its release on Shudder will allow for more Americans to see it is awesome, and I hope that we continue to get awesome foreign horror films from the service. On the same day I watched Grafted, I also watched Brian Yuzna's Society, which was a fitting double bill. Of course, Yuzna's film is much goopier and grosser than Grafted, but the fact that we're still getting these types of films leaves a smile on my face. Hopefully this era of body horror resurgence continues. Long live the new flesh. That's all for this week's video. Have you seen Grafted? If you have, let me know down in the comment section below what your thoughts are. Please leave a like and hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next week.